Hi, so some of you have asked for information on artificial sweeteners, and I'd like to give some to you based on a talk that I did for Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare. But of course, while I have your attention, let me also talk about sugars. Sugar tastes good, but is it really as unhealthy as the media would make it seem? Sugar substitutes can taste just as sweet, but are they safe? We're going to have a look at a number of natural quotes in quotes as well as artificial sugars and their health effects so that you can make your decisions based on facts, not fear. We do need sugar. We need carbohydrate. We need glucose. And sugars and starches supply energy to the body in the form of glucose for the fetus, for the brain, central nervous system, red blood cells, muscle tissue. We have two different types of sweeteners that I'll talk about: nutritive sweeteners that contain calories, and non nutritive sweeteners that do not contain calories. The nutritive sweeteners are the ones listed in this table. And, well, let me tell you why we have sugar in food. Here's the list. It inhibits the growth of microbes by binding to water in the jams and jellies. Besides giving them that sweet taste, it adds texture, flavor, colors. All of this information is why sugar can be added to food. I put together a table on the difference between what might be called natural versus added or refined sugars. So have a look at this when you think about how you might want to define natural sugars. And now added sugars can be found on the food label. So you can see how much sugar is added to a product in addition to what is found in the original product. When you look at a food label, if you see sugar in the first few ingredients, you know that this food is going to be high in sweeteners. It will have a sweet taste, and it may not be very nutrient dense. We also have a number of different names for sugar. So when you see any of these names, any of these words in the list of ingredients, it's another way of saying sugar. It's another way of saying sweetener. It's not something you should be scared about. I do want to talk about high fructose corn syrup for a second. High fructose corn syrup, if we look at regular sugar at the top, granulated sugar, the columns are fructose and glucose. Regular sucrose or granulated sugar is 50-50 glucose and fructose. There are two different types of high fructose corn syrup: HFCS 42 and HFCS 55. HFCS 42 is 42% fructose, 58% glucose. HFCS 55 is 55% fructose and 45% glucose. And if you look below that, agave nectar or apple juice, you will see that these are also high in fructose. However, the products agave, apple juice, and orange juice, those ratios of fructose to glucose are in the product itself, the apple juice or the orange juice, whereas high fructose corn syrup has been modified to increase or decrease the fructose content. We don't really need added sugars, except to me, they provide lots of flavor and love. But the greater the consumption of foods and beverages with lots of added sugar, it makes it more difficult to consume the nutrients that we need without gaining weight. Added sugars have no nutritional value, meaning they don't provide us with vitamins and minerals. They provide us with calories, and it's something that you should be aware of. The dietary guidelines recommend getting 10% of your total calories from sugar. Now, I need to remind you that this is over time. Please don't sit at the end of the day and say, oh my God, I ate too much sugar. It's balance over time. And in a 2,000 calorie diet, it's recommended to get about 50 grams of sugar per day. And keep in mind your average your average 20-ounce soda has about 65 grams of sugar. Let's just have a look at the sugar content of a couple food products. Coca-Cola had a 12-ounce versus 20-ounce versus 1 liter. If I say a picture's worth 1,000 words, I'll let you look at the pictures as well as the words. This is the amount of sugars found in orange juice. Just because it's juice doesn't mean it's any less sugary. And then there's a question of how nutritious or nutrient dense are nutritive sweeteners. If we look at table sugar per half cup, this is the number of nutrients found from calories, carbohydrate, protein, protein, fiber, calcium, potassium, and iron, and the percent daily value of each of these. Compare it to honey and agave nectar. Remember, we are looking at just about a half a cup of these sweeteners, 100 grams. There's not a lot of nutrients in a serving of a teaspoon or even a tablespoon. Pick the sweetener you like because of the taste, not because you think it has more nutrients. Just remember, it's the dose that makes the poison. And now let's have a look at the alternatives to sugar, or the non-nutritive sweeteners. Unlike sugars, these are not carbohydrates. They don't have any calories. You should know, though, that before sweeteners get to you, the FDA will accept or reject them based on how they're made, how the food product's made, which foods it will be used in, and if it's potentially harmful to your health. The FDA then sets a limit for the amount that a person can safely consume based on their body weight. The ADI, or acceptable daily intakes, and the EDI, or estimated daily intakes, are established, and these are based on the amounts consumed by people whose intake is greater than 90% of the population. For example, a 40-pound child would need to eat 24 packets of aspartame or NutraSweet, or drink 4 12-ounce cans of diet soda every day in order to reach this ADI or EDI. Sunet, also known as acesulfame K, was approved in 2002. It's not approved for meat and poultry, but why would it be? But this is one of those sweeteners that can be used in processed foods and in cooking. It doesn't break down because it is heat stable. It can be combined with NutraSweet or aspartame, and it's found in Pepsi 1. It's 200 times sweeter than table sugar, but a 150-pound person would need to consume 1,022 milligrams for life in order to reach the limit. Aspartame was approved in 1981, and there have been over 100 studies on the safety of this product, and it is safe for almost all people to use. If you have a condition called phenylketonuria or you get side effects, definitely not supposed to use it. You are tested for PKU at birth, and products by law are required to state on the label that if they contain aspartame, you should not be consuming it if you have PKU. You would need to consume 3,409 milligrams per day for life in order to reach the limit. Stevia was approved in 2008. It is only the leaves that are used as the sweetener. 273 milligrams a day for life to reach the limit. Saccharin was approved in 1998. It was very controversial because there were studies that showed that it caused cancers in rats, but not humans. Warning labels are no longer required. And let me just tell you a little bit about that rat study. Well, if a human was to consume as much of the sweetener as the rats were given, they would have to drink 850 cans of artificially sweetened soft drinks every day to get the dose equivalent to what was given to those rats. Some research suggested that although high doses of saccharin can promote bladder cancer in rats, it did not seem to have the same effect on mice or hamsters or monkeys. So please remember, mice are not human. It's where we start the research. It's not where we finish it. And how much would you need to consume? 1,021 milligrams per day for life. Sucralose, or the yellow packet, also heat stable. It may have the fewest safety concerns, 340 milligrams per day for life. Do non-nutritive sweeteners cause cancer? Again, I said the 1970s lab study showed that bladder cancer was found in male, not female rats getting saccharin, but a review in 2000 showed that the mechanism by which cancer is formed in rats from saccharin is not the same mechanism that cancer is formed in humans. Aspartame, there was a concern about brain tumors, but an analysis of the data showed that it was not a concern in humans. Let me just remind you, with these sweeteners, before being approved, the FDA reviewed more than 100 safety studies, and the results showed no evidence that these sweeteners caused cancer or posed any other risk to human health. But I want to remind you, it's the dose that makes the poison. If you're consuming 6 cans or 8 cans of diet soda a day, of juice, of coffee, why are you drinking that much? That's what you need to think about. Where you're getting your fluids from and what are they adding to your diet or taking away from your diet. And while I don't necessarily worry about your demographic, I do get concerned about small children consuming lots of these artificial or non-nutritive sweeteners or any excess amount of sweetener because they're metabolized through the liver. And children's livers aren't as developed as the average healthy adult. So please remember, it's the dose that makes the poison. As always, we need to keep this in perspective. It's balance over time. Some days you eat salads and go to the gym. Some days you eat cupcakes and refuse to put on pants. It's called balance. And if you have any questions, please post them or ask me in class. Thanks.